You know, they really did say it best in Seinfeld. You either have grace or you don't. Nicolas Cage playing Dracula in a horror comedy feels like the perfect recipe for magical ridiculousness at the cinema, but did Renfield deliver on that, or did it just turn out to be ridiculous? Well, let's get into where this movie thrived and where it sadly stumbled. Now, if you're at all familiar with me, you know my barometer for stupid humor has a lot of range. I laugh all day, every day, so I was all in on Renfield and the potential that it had. Cage has been on a comeback, which is awesome to see, and him playing Dracula should have resulted in just world-class cinematic absurdity, yet sadly, it's never fulfilled in this movie. Now, I will admit, Cage is pretty humorous in this role, and he's good in this movie overall. To his credit, he's going all in. He does deliver consistent amusement, and he's caging it to the extreme to try and sell this material, but the film wrapped around him is greatly lacking any cleverness or comedic ingenuity. Because, I mean, come on, this premise of Dracula having a henchman who must bring him bodies to feast on for years and years, and the potential mental trauma this could cause the henchman is just unique for horror comedy, and it's ripe with potential, yet the script explores it in the most conventional of ways, and it's all built on just overtly basic humor. You can feel where the joke is going to go frequently, which just as frequently kills the landing. Now, I'll admit, I chuckled a handful of times, but as a whole, I didn't really laugh at all, and Renfield's biggest drawback is that the sense of humor infused into the writing just isn't that clever. It frequently relies on hyper-gratuitous violence for laughs, which doesn't really work either, because despite smashing heads and ripping limbs and gallons of fake blood, it's all stuff we've seen before many times. To me, the overall plot and its progression just felt uninspired. The characters felt charismatically flat. I thought Holt was amusing as Renfield, a man really in the middle of a mental breakdown from years of serving this just massively eccentric Dracula, but much like Cage, he could have brought in so much more to this movie had the writing allowed him to. Awkwafina was fine, but she's been funnier as well, and it just all falls back on the writing. It should have been sharp and witty and sadistic, but instead it was kind of dull and mostly witless with a sadistic undercurrent that felt way too artificial. And like I said, it's not all bad. I chuckled a lot. The action does have its moments where the violence and carnage can get the energy up, but it never comes together, just mostly because the main plot at the center of it all is greatly lacking any meat to sink your teeth into. The sense of humor isn't that funny, and we gotta talk about the performance of Ben Schwartz, who took this material and went way too far with it by delivering a masterclass and overacting to the point where you're laughing way more at this movie than you ever will with it. Some of you may enjoy this movie a lot more than I did, but sadly it was a miss for me. It had a short runtime and it still felt like it was running long, and I just think they should have taken a note from Willy's Wonderland on how to take this wild premise and build an insanely fun, absolutely self-aware film around it. I thought Renfield knew this, but with such a bland storyline and simplistic humor, it certainly missed the memo on that. So sadly, Renfield is just going to get a D+. Thanks for watching this review of Renfield, guys. I really appreciate you. Let me know what you thought of this movie down in the comments if you were able to check it out. And until my next video, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?